What's up, everybody? Thanks again for stopping by for another edition of March 4th with Mike Bauman. I, of course, am your host, Mike Bauman. Whoever you are, wherever you are listening from, thank you so much for checking out the podcast. If you're a returning listener, I greatly appreciate your continued love and support. And if you're a brand new listener of the show, man, thank you so much for hopping aboard that pirate ship. You can follow me on Instagram at March 4th Pod. I am on YouTube and TikTok at March 4th Pod. The link tree with all of my stuff is in the podcast description for this episode. So that means if you made it here, then you found me somehow. And I truly appreciate each and every one of you taking the time to check out another edition of the March 4th with Mike Bauman podcast. Ooh, nose itch. I swear, whether it's like a hiccup or I need to take a deep breath or my nose itches or I've got a frog in my throat, something happens whenever I do these. But I've had my coffee, I had my protein shake, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm getting huge over here. No, I'm not. I'm just trying to stay in shape. But I've got a little pep in my step, man. I want to say shout out to all of the fathers out there as this episode hits y'all's eardrums. We will be 2 days removed from the official recognition of fathers in the United States anyway for Father's Day. So to all the fathers out there, including the ones on this week's episode, happy belated Father's Day. I also want to give a shout out to my dad, to Jack, to my grandpa, RIP. I love all of you, and you all mean a lot to me, man. More than I could say in this intro. But I hope everybody's doing well. Fathers aside, man, I wanted to give them a shout out because of Father's Day, but I hope that everybody's doing well. We're officially approaching summer, and yeah, I hope that everybody's enjoying the time off from school. If you're a student listening to this and you get a reprieve, shout out to all the teachers and educators out there who are getting a couple of months off, or maybe you're doing your side hustle outside of your teaching duties. And for everybody out there, man, I wish you nothing but the best. I appreciate you taking the time, like I just said in my intro and my spiel, to check out the podcast. It's been awesome to see it continuing to grow. May was an awesome month. And yeah, I'm really humbled, man. I know I say it a lot on here. I kind of repeat myself, but I'm very grateful, man. I'm in a very grateful state as I do this episode. You can hear my air conditioning humming in the background because I don't have a professional studio. I do this out of my dining room at my place in an undisclosed location because there's a lot of weirdos out there. I'll just say I'm in the Nashville area, and it's toasty down here. And I think it's going to be toasty. It usually is in the summers here, but so I'm not turning the air conditioner off while I do this because yeah, your boy runs hot, and I need to stay cool and dry, and it feels nice in here. So if you hear the air conditioning, just know that, okay? When Spotify gives me that Joe Rogan money, I'll get myself a professional studio, all right? But until then, I am the producer, I am the editor, I am the host, and the goofball extraordinaire behind March 4th with Mike Bauman. And I really hope that you guys enjoy these conversations of me and the guests discussing their dreams, their accomplishments, but also walking through darkness to get to the light, and the challenges that they face to accomplish the things that they're accomplishing, to let all of you know that you have the capability to overcome whatever it is you're going through in your life, and you have the power and the human spirit to achieve great things. There is so much negativity out there, and sadly, so much of these algorithms on the various social media platforms, and I would dare I say even television and the news, unfortunately, are geared towards fear and using that to get clicks and to get likes and to get views. And that's not what I'm about over here. Maybe I would have some more downloads and whatnot if I focused on more negative stuff, but I've just refused to do that. So I encourage you to help me and help you and help everybody. Let's let them know the power of positivity. If you do like these shows, like, subscribe, share, tell a friend to tell a friend, so that we can let people know, hey, you know what? Not all of us are attracted to negative content and the garbage that is out there. There are a lot of people who want to just hear good conversations with good people doing good things in the world. and it's motivating and it's cool. So, not tooting my own horn, but I want to say thank you to everybody who's on the pirate ship with me because I love giving you guys these conversations and using my platform to spread positive ripple effects. And if I reach two people with any episode, that's two more than I wouldn't have reached otherwise if I just did my day job, which I am very grateful for. I work for a great company and I'm on a great team. But if I only went to work, what's the old saying? All work and no play makes me a dull boy. If I only went to work and paid my bills and my taxes, and I didn't chase the creative passions that I've had since I was a kid, and not even passions, love, music and art and movies and sports. The creativity of basketball is a big reason it's my favorite sport. I digress. Like, if I didn't pursue those things and I just went to work and I came home, I'd be a dull person and I wouldn't be a very happy person. So, thank you from the bottom of my heart to everybody who checks these out. And if you do enjoy the show, again, like, subscribe, leave a rating and a review on either Apple or Spotify. It's on all the major platforms. Again, you're here, so you found me on one of them. And even though I don't like begging for this stuff, it does go a long way getting these conversations out to more people. And that's what I want because there's a lot of great people with great hearts doing awesome things out there and they deserve their shine. You know, I actually heard something today from somebody who's got a big platform. I'm forgetting her name right now because I'm getting older, but she's pretty big influencer, and she has positive content. So kind of in the thread of what I'm talking about, and she posted something like, "Hey, don't just pay attention to people based on how many followers they have or think that they have the best advice because they have the most followers. There's actually people out there who have good advice and are doing good things that don't have a ton of followers." So, and that made me feel good about what I'm doing because, like I said, your boy's not, you know, I'm not Rogan or Kill Tony and I love those shows. I'm not throwing shade at them, so please don't hear it. I'm not saying I'm a big fan of Kill Tony and Rogan and some of the other big podcasts out there, but um, I again, I do these because I really love to do them, and it's cool to see it grow. And so, yeah, if you like it, please stay aboard the pirate ship. I promise that is as much selling as I'm going to do. That word always reminds me of Tommy Boy, by the way. You want to ask Richard if he might want to try selling since he's so good. Um, love that movie, man. But that's as much self promo as I'm going to do because speaking of good people, doing good things and shining a light on other creatives in their community, man. This week's guests are none other than Stephen Aripez and Jeremy Habig. They are based in California, and they are the brains behind the Temecula Valley Film Festival. The next one is going to be happening in October of this year, and they did the first one last year in October of 2023, had a great turnout, had a lot of great films. There's so much we get into in this episode, so I don't want to spoil it or rant any more than I already have because I'm coming up on 10 minutes with this intro. But out in Temecula, man, they're doing big things. Steven, for those of you who listen to the podcast regularly, you know that he is a return guest of the show. He's a great guy. His film, The Director's Cut, by the way, if you love independent horror, is on Tubi now, so you can watch it for free. And I believe that was the first time he and I caught up was like 2 years ago almost now, man. Time flies. And I met him through Dylan Baumgartner of Realverse Productions, also a great guy. Shout out to Dylan Baumgartner, Realverse, and Slingshot. But Steven Aripez is a great guy. He's a great independent filmmaker. Loves movies, loves film, and is busting his butt chasing his dreams with that. And in this episode, you will hear about his relationship and friendship with Jeremy Habig, who, like I said, is also one of the brains behind the Temecula Valley Film Festival. They've kind of rejuvenated and revived something that was dormant for a little bit and made it their own and are shining a light on a lot of awesome creators and independent filmmakers out there. And it was great to get them on here to talk about this film festival and what they went through the first year and the turnout and getting ready for another great year in 2024 with it. So without further ado, I'm going to shut my big yapper and give you guys my conversation with Steven Aripez and Jeremy Habig. Here it is. Steve and Jeremy, thank you so much again, dudes, for taking the time to come on the podcast. I'm really excited to talk about what you guys have going on with the Temecula Valley Film Fest, man. So thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having us, Mike.
Thanks for having us.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Well, since the long form of this, even though I'm going to put some clips out, is going to be audio only. Why don't you tell everybody your name, and that way when you're speaking, they know who's talking. Since we got both of y'all on.
You want to go
Yeah,
first, Steven?
yeah, I'll go first. I'm Steven Aripez, and yeah, and go ahead.
Yeah. You've been on the podcast before, so people should know, right?
Yeah.
My name's Jeremy Habig. Yeah, and this is my voice. So
I guess we should say like what we do at the festival. I guess
I guess yeah.
I'm one of the co-founders, and I'm program director.
And co-founder, executive director, I guess. I don't know. I'm the one to blame for all the things that go wrong.
He's the face. Jeremy's the face.
Yeah. Face for radio.
So how did you guys link up, man? Talk to me a little bit about the inception of just not only you guys joining forces for this, but just how you guys came into contact with one another out there, man.
You want to go, Steven?
Uh,
Steven and
guess,
I's
yeah.
recount of
Yeah,
it is
go
probably
ahead.
different.
Yeah. Well, the way I remember, down here there was a face group like Temecula Collective, trying to get filmmakers together and kind of link up. And I was part of the group, but I didn't go to the first like in-person meeting. But they did videos, and they posted videos on the page, and Jeremy was there. He's like, hey, I work in the film industry, sound. I'm a trying to produce now. I was like, oh, producer, okay, he's trying to produce. I'm like, let me try to link up with him. So I messaged him, and then we met up for burgers and beers or something like that, and then pretty much hit it off, and we got along pretty quickly, and then we kind of just started collaborating on stuff, and then yeah, and then we eventually made a feature film, the director's cut, and we've been pretty much working on anything that I do short film wise or film wise, and vice versa, and we kind of throughout the years, I think maybe even before we made the director's cut, we kind of threw that idea out about bringing back the Temecula Valley Film Festival. They used to be called the Temecula Valley International Film and Music Festival. That's what it used to be called, and then it died in like 2014. And we were thinking we've thrown the idea around like, yeah, it'd be cool to bring it back, and then you know eventually we finally did. I don't know if
And
that's what you think happened, Jeremy.
yeah. My recollection of it. Well, no, let me go back a little bit further with my history. I was up in the LA area. I worked in television for over 20 years and did a bunch of independent film in the beginning, and then realized I needed to make money and got into television. So reality for a long time. But yeah, so I came down here to Temecula though once I had a family and the busy and being able to afford the American dream. Get a house and have your kids down here. So anyway, we came down, and I just thought, well, it's a commuter town. I was going to drive to LA and work and whatever and everything else and just have my family here. And I started meeting people that were, I guess of like mind. How about that? A lot of independent filmmakers, a lot of different people here. I know you've had a few on here, Johnny and, Steven here. And I started gathering because I was like, hey, do you guys know this person? Do you know this person? This is really cool. Like, I've been doing this a long time. I didn't know all of these people were here. And, we kind of just, we all started meeting. And yeah, I mean, one of the first really was with Steven. He's the one that reached out to me too and got me back into independent film because, I'd been doing television for how long? Forgot about independent film. And yeah, so he got me back into it. We met, started a thing called the Temecula Valley Entertainment Collective, which is still going. That's a group of us that I basically just, decided, hey, let's have a meet and greet one night, and thought, well, it'd be Steven and a few other people I knew, maybe about 10 of us gather at the local brewery. 30 people ended up like showing up. And I mean, people I didn't know. I mean, I'm like, wow, and it's all people from all walks, all different wanting to start out, they do wedding videos, but they want to get back in, they want to do independent film, or, to, Steven, who's doing it. And, a lot of people, I don't know if you've ever heard of Mike, have you ever heard of 48 Hour Film Project? Basically it's a nationwide thing, but you have to make a film in 48 hours. So there's a whole group of people that actually do that here as well. And a few of them, have played at cons and a bunch of other places and stuff. So there's a legitimacy to the Valley, if you will. And we were hoping to kind of bring that, and everybody was, hey, we really need to have a film festival again. It'd be really cool if we had a film festival. And, finally, I think it was Johnny too that we were talking, and I think we left that meeting, and then Steven, you and I, and then Jeremy and Andy sat down at, we were at, excuse me, the, what's the name of the place? The,
Yard House.
Oh, Yard House, excuse me. Yeah. And we were finally like, let's do it. And, so we went from there, and I just always need that spark and a catalyst. And I know Steven and Jeremy and Andy were all right there and had my back. So we started it and had our first one last year
in October. Yeah. And it was a great turnout. It was a lot better than what we expected.
Yeah. And there's a lot of support in the community down here, which is cool, and I think what I've always told people too, and Mike, I know I'm just chatting away, and you can cut stuff out, right? No, I'm just kidding. That's what I always say. No, but we basically, we had a good turnout this year. And I think one of the, one of the big things is the community here is very likes this thing, and it likes us to be here. They wanted a film festival, and there's a lot of creative people that are here. I mean, what I've always told too is, I want to be the next Austin Light. How about that? In the sense that you can go to LA and shoot what you want. You can go to San Diego too. You've got both those. We're 2 hours away from LA, 1 hour away from San Diego, and but come here to have fun. I mean, we got breweries, we got wineries. Crew wise here, it's a good time, and yeah, I feel like it could be a great area for independent film, and a lot of different. We could shoot in the mountains, or you can shoot in the rocks, Western type stuff, or, got some downtown feel. So yeah, I don't know. I think that's where it all went. But yeah, getting back to the film festival, we were very successful last year. And a lot of that was actually due in part to Steven. Steven's, festival director, and he does a lot of the outreach. I'm sure that's kind of how he came across you as well, Mike, is he's very good at finding very cool stuff, film, anything else related.
Well, it's cool. And thanks for breaking down how you guys everything, because it is cool to find that community, right? With whatever it is, you know what I mean? And especially I feel like post-COVID, I think people got so isolated, and you forget, man, like everybody starts somewhere, and we all have dreams, and creativity is such a big force of life. Like I don't even want to think about life if I didn't have music, if I didn't have movies, if I didn't have drawing and all that stuff. And like we were just talking about before the jump, Jeremy, we're both from the Midwest. You're originally from Indiana, right? So everybody starts somewhere, and I think it's cool to chase down your dreams and pursue them. And so I'm sure, again, post pandemic, I'm sure there's probably a big thirst for people to get together. And the fact that you guys were kind of the catalyst for, reviving something, like you said, Stephen, that was dormant for several years, and bringing it back as Temecula Valley Film Festival, and even just seeing what you guys have been posting on Instagram, and it looked like an awesome turnout last year. And am I saying it right? Is it Temeku? Listen to me. I was like, am I saying it right? And I just fell right apart. This is why I'm not an actor. Temeku Cinemas. Am I saying it right?
Temeku Cinemas. Yeah, Temeku. Yeah.
Okay. It's on the front. My Midwest backhead. Temeku. And again, I loved the director's cut. So when Steven first got in touch with me, man, and again, Dylan, shout out Dylan Baumgartner from Realverse, had already been on the show. And just it was so cool to have that experience of, like, because I've had, again, I have a lot of musicians and stuff on the show. but that's the first time ever. So thank you, Stephen, that somebody sent me a movie, you know what I mean, that they made an independent film before it came out, you know, like to the world, and to get a chance to see that and see how you shot it, and it's just so dope, man. Like I really enjoyed it. I loved I just I was a big fan of it, man. A big horror movie guy, as you know. So long way me saying it's cool to connect with you know, great creators out here, man. Because there's a couple of Jeremys on the production of that, right? You, Jeremy, and then Jeremy Allen Pappas. Am I saying his last name right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. So that I was a big fan of that, man. So to see you guys you know, helping out other creators in Temecula is really cool too, because obviously a lot of people, kind of like we were talking about with Nashville, there's a lot of people who come to Nashville to chase their dreams with music. And really film here too, I think is starting to pick up a little bit of steam. I know there's a lot of stuff that's been filmed in Atlanta and Georgia the last several years, a lot
Hmm.
of big stuff even. So I think it's really cool that you've got that community going in Temecula. How often do you still meet now? You mentioned that group Jeremy had, it was like 30 people. I mean, how often do you guys get together now?
Well, we you know, we still kind of do that. The festival has taken over a little bit of that time. But you know, we still try to do it about 2 times a year. And more what we've done is we kind of do a little side showcase of about 5 different projects from in town here. And it may be something that, you know, we have gotten such a great response for the festival that, you know, we've got some higher end films that we definitely need to get in the programming. But it may be something that maybe didn't necessarily make the festival, but I want people to see. So yeah, we started doing film showcases with about, you know, 5 films or so. It's all local people that, you know, within the area. I say we're, you know, we've kind of got a little vast area down here in Temecula Valley. There's Hemet, Marietta, Menifee, you know, North County, San Diego, Fallbrook area, that we kind of encompass. But yeah, we kind of show films that may have not made the festival, just due to, you know, the amount of time we had programming and how many films we get and different things. So to kind of give them an outlet, and that's kind of our meetup right now. I'm in the talks of possibly doing workshops. You know, that's what I really want to get. I would love to get some incubator type things, you know, some script writing, some, you know, cinematography type stuff, bring in some DPs that I know from LA and stuff, and just kind of, you know, bring in some of their toys and some of the topics and some of the things that they've learned along the route, and you know, being able to pass that along to people. So down here, especially.
Well, and last year it was correct me if I'm wrong, it was October 13th and October 14th, right? It was over the course of
Hmm.
two. Um, just launching that first one. I mean, I'm trying to think of like all the things that go into putting a festival together. What were some of the lessons learned? Who were some of the people that you guys leaned on in terms of putting that together? Because I got to imagine that was an undertaking, man. Like, even had you ever, in all the work that you've done, had you ever done anything like that before?
No, I mean, it was hard because here's the problem. We hard to make a film festival if you don't have the venue locked. And we didn't have the venue locked for like not until like June. And we're already like we were in talks till the like since like February with the theater, but they were, you know, they had just reopened the theater
Mhm.
too because it's a local theater. It's not like Edwards Cinema or Regal. It's not a big chain theater. It's a local theater, which is that's why we wanted to go there. It used to be like a discount theater, like the cheap seats, you know. So they would get the second
They'd
run
stick to the
movies.
floor and
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
It was very kind of old school, which I loved. I loved, but COVID really did a number on them, you know. They had to reinvent the the theater and essentially and be like they have to show first run movies and they added the recliner seats, so they renovated the whole look and it looks very nice. It's very comfortable. So they took time to give us the okay, you know, the green light. And then finally, when they did, we had to basically, you know, put everything together from June and have it ready by October 13th, you know, so that was very short. So this year we definitely have more time. We're more prepared. And it's just going to be a more efficient ran festival. Not saying that it wasn't efficiently ran last time, but it definitely, we're going to feel, the plan is that we feel more relaxed this year. less kind of edge, because it's, we want to make sure everything runs perfectly. But yeah, having more time is definitely the key to running a festival for sure. So, but even though we only had, not a lot of time, we got it done. It was kind of amazing, honestly.
I
And
mean, that's a
it was fun.
testament to that's a testament to you and everybody else. I mean,
Yeah, it was a team
you
effort for
guys,
sure.
yeah, yeah. I mean, we've got, like you said, Jeremy Allen Pappas, and then we also had Andy Bash, Andrea Bash, as well as Patrick.
Yeah.
And so yeah, we kind of all pulled each other together and said, "Hey, we're going to do this," and we made it happen. And I think, like I said, I think it turned out well. There wasn't anything. We wanted to make sure that nobody was complaining about anything, that they didn't have a complaint. Now, that's very high hopes. And honestly, yes, I need some criticism and feedback, but no, everybody had a great time. I mean, we really, and one of the things I think we like to pride ourselves on is, and I guess a lot of festivals kind of do this, but we're filmmakers ourselves. So we wanted to make sure that we were taking care of the filmmakers, of the artists. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
our sponsors that I got, very, very local, great people. They just believed in us.
Yes.
But we, honestly, our focus was on the filmmakers. Like, let's make them have fun. I want people to go away from this festival and say, you know what, they took care of us. It wasn't just a philanthropical event of, who's the socials and the elites can come and this and that. It was all, really people sitting down watching films and enjoying them. So
Yeah, yeah.
I think we kind of pride ourselves on that, and we did a really good job last year.
Yeah.
Anybody at Temeku Cinemas you want to give a shout out to? Like any integral people there? You mentioned Stephen, kind of them revamping after COVID. Who are the
Yeah,
main
no, definitely.
working with?
Well, the owner, Heidi, she's the one that has the final say. So, I mean, she was great. She was very down. And then the GM, or the no, he's the Kevin. He does the operations. Like, he's the one that we were talking to the most about the events and stuff like that. So Kevin, and then Dylan, um, who's a GM there. They were great, and obviously all the employees and stuff like that. But those three are the key factors of giving the green light and making us feel comfortable and being accommodating.
And I know everybody says they want to keep it local, but I'm glad we were able to do that, because we checked into the Regals and all the other cinemas, the Reddings and all that. And, there's a lot of red tape and this and that. And we're glad that we can
Yeah,
support local,
yeah, definitely worked out in our favor. Because yeah, it would. I mean, look, it would have been fine if we got another theater, but it just feels more. It feels right having another theater that's local based. That's not like some big movie theater chain.
And I think that's really cool too, because it's so rare anymore, man. Like even here in Nashville, down in Franklin, there's like I think it's the Franklin Theater, and it's still right on Main
Hmm.
Street. And they do cool stuff like Christmas. They show movies and whatnot, and it's just you don't get like those old theaters anymore, man. And don't get me wrong, like when you go to the big cinemas and you have the reclining seat and you can
Hmm.
and you know where you're sitting, you do it ahead of time. It's like getting a ticket to a show. Like, this is my seat, I'm picking it out. Like, it's awesome. Don't get me wrong. Like, compared to the back of the day when somebody be in front of you, if they leaned way back and you're like
Yeah.
legs, your knees are getting hit. But it is cool, like those old theaters, man. Like, it just there's stuff from the past that I that's one of the coolest things to me. um whether it's buildings or cars or art, whatever it is, like preserving stuff like that and revamping it and having new generations enjoy it is really cool. So I'm glad that you guys were able to do it at a local theater rather than bigger place. And like you're saying, Jeremy, I can only imagine, yeah, the red tape going through a bigger chain of theaters and the different hoops you probably have to jump through versus being able to talk to the owner of a local theater. I'm sure it's helpful.
Yeah. Having them supportive.
Yeah, definitely. It's more of a direct line to them. With like Regal and all them, it's a lot of like, oh, talk to us. Yeah, a lot of waiting.
And it's not I'm sure it's not every day too that they've got people saying, "Hey, we want to put on a film festival." You know what I mean? Like, and the undertaking involved in that. But again, even the pictures and stuff that and what you guys have posted on the Instagram, it's been so cool to see. And leading up to the one this year, which I know is going to be also in October 2024, you guys are shooting for, right? And from what I
Hmm.
saw, submissions have been open since March 1st. The regular submissions go through June 28th, which will be good timing for this show when everybody hears it in mid-June. And then there's still late submissions that people can do as of August 2nd. Um,
Hmm.
but for this second one, man, even leading up to it, again, there's been cool things that you guys have been doing. I saw that there was a live Q&A back in February with Ian Nelms and Ishan Nelms, who directed Red Right Hand, which had Orlando Bloom, and they're local guys too, right? How did you guys come into contact with them?
Well,
Um, Go ahead. Well, I'll go first, and then
yeah.
you take it over,
No, go
Jeremy, because
ahead.
yeah, no. I'm just so yeah. Well, Jeremy is the one that informed us that they were doing a screening of their film Red Right Hand at the Temeku Cinema. So he's like, hey, if somebody could make it, let's go talk to them, see what they're about. And then I was able to make it. They had a lot of people there, a lot of family and stuff, so it was cool. And then the movie was actually pretty dope. I actually enjoyed it a lot. And then I talked to them. I got their numbers. They were kind of being like bombarded by friends and family, and that everybody wanted to kind of talk to them. So I talked to them quickly, but they seemed very chill, down to earth. They gave me their information, and then I shared that with Jeremy. And then recently, Jeremy and Isham were able to link up and actually meet up and talk, and stuff like that. So um, and then but I wasn't there for that meeting. I wasn't there, but Jeremy got to talk and meet with him. So that's kind of, you can take over, Jeremy, and let me know. Let Mike know what went on.
Well, funny enough, I'd actually gotten in contact. Kevin from Temeku Cinemas had contacted me and said, "Hey, we've got these filmmakers coming in. They want to, they want to be able to do a Q&A. They've got this Hollywood feature, and they live here. Can you help us promote it? Can you get it out?" And so I helped them with that, but it just it really sparked my interest because again, really trying to bring some legitimacy and different things to the filmmaking community in Temecula. It was cool to hear that they were here. And so he brought that to me, and then unfortunately I couldn't make it, but Steven was our representative there, which was awesome. And then actually just recently here, I met up with Isham. We sat down, had some coffee, and just chatted a long time. And yeah, they've got a great story, man. I would implore you to possibly reach out to them. We can hook you up and maybe get them on here. They've got an amazing story of, I think one of their first films they started doing in their backyard of their parents' house and in the woods, and shot it for no money and this and that. So they've got a very cool creative story. But it's good to hear all that, and good to hear that he's here and that him and his brother are, they're down to help out the community, and I think that's all, that's what we can do is build this community and build it up. But yeah, it initially came through Temeku, and they got it randomly through their publicist. Had basically said, "Hey, these two live here. They've made this film. They'd like to show it there. Are you guys down with it?" So they also made a film, I don't know, a little lesser known Mel Gibson film called Fat Man, which is about a killer Santa Claus.
No,
So that's
yeah,
another
yeah.
one of their films that,
That's
yeah.
a good. That's a good one. That's a
I'm
good one.
the horror you piqued my interest. The horror movie fan in me wants. I'm definitely down for that. So I'm gonna check it out.
Yeah. Yeah. Do it.
No, yeah, that movie's it's good. You should check it out, Mike. But it's not necessarily horror. It's more like revenge kind of.
Thriller,
It's
right?
more about like more like thriller, and it's like this kid who hires a hitman to go kill Santa Claus. That's played by Mel Gibson. Is it's basically, but it's kind of grounded. It's not like it's like it's grounded, more grounded type of take on Santa Claus. It's really cool. It's really cool.
I gotta check it out. I appreciate the Rex, man. Just
Mm-hmm.
like we were messaging the other day about I did watch
Oh
X,
yeah, yeah.
by the way. That was amazing.
Oh
Um
nice.
it Jeremy, you mentioned too, working in TV, just from doing a little homework, I've seen that you've done a lot of like sound mixing and audio mixing. Correct me if I'm wrong. One of the credits was Unsolved Mysteries. So I will just tell you when I was a child, okay, and this is probably why I'm kind of a weird adult. So unlike a lot of kids who grew up on like Disney movies and things like that, like my favorite Disney movie is Heavyweights, which
Oh,
Judd,
love it.
I think he co-wrote that, and that was like one of his.
Mm-hmm.
To this day, Heavyweights I love, but my brother and I, and I'm talking like I was like six dudes, so this is kind of messed up, but like so I mean SNL, like that's fine, right? But we would watch Unsolved Mysteries and Rescue 911. I still remember the theme songs to each one of them. And
Wow.
I still remember one episode of Unsolved Mysteries that we watched when I was like 6 or 7. And to this day, it creeps me out because, they would always do the reenactments, right? So
Mm-hmm.
they would describe it and then they would do like the reenactment of like, this is what happened. And like, I was in like first grade, we're in the basement and it's like these guys like picked up this like I think this I she was like early 20s or something. She realized like the situation was messed up. So she's like, "Hey, my house is around the corner. Can you drop me off?" So they drop her off and she walks up the driveway and goes to like the porch. And unfortunately, before the car gets out of sight, she was just doing it to get out of the car because she knew they were like messed up. Before
Mm-hmm.
the car drives away, she starts to walk back down the walkway. They notice it, so they swing back around like, oh, she lied to us, and then she like disappeared. To this day, at 36 years old, I still remember watching that at like 7.
Wow.
So anyway, when I saw that was one of the credits, because I know they've like rebooted it, right? I think it's come back like over like the last year or two.
And that's yeah, so don't think I'm that old either. I this was not the original, this was the reboot. So yes, but no, I remember that too. I mean, I think maybe that's that Midwestern thing when they put the kids down in front of the TV. It was like you watched Unsolved Mysteries or Tornado Warnings. But anyway, yeah, no, I remember watching it too, but yeah, when I got called to do that, it was some Northern California case, involving some thriller murder and something anyway. But yeah, we did it was kind of cool to see, we went to the police station and of course they dramatized the look and everything and the DPs like making it just look all just that Unsolved Mysteries look like exactly what I'm talking. There's like a red and blue like
Mm-hmm.
light in the
Yeah.
back and it's like I mean all the same interview looks. So it was fun. It was cool. Yeah, it was a blast down memory lane. So that's funny that you still have that memory too.
It's terrifying. Yeah, it's terrifying. It's terrifying.
I think that's where you get the horror film. That's where you get all these guys that we write the horror films and do the horror films. All comes from there.
I always find it funny when I meet people who watch like every single true crime thing that exists. They listen to the podcast, they
Mm.
watch the shows, the movies, but they're like anti-horror. And I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. I'm like,
Yeah.
horror is less terrifying to me because even though there's obviously a lot of horror movies that are either based on true stories or loosely based on true
Mm-hmm.
stories, at the end of the day, it's not real. Like they've recently put all of the Nightmare on Elm Streets on Netflix. So I've been going
Mm.
back, like, you know, I when I was a kid, I never watched them because my parents wouldn't let me watch that. So I'm like, I could go back and, I love the 80s. The Lost Boys is one of my favorite movies ever. I gotta go
Yeah.
back, watch all these, man. But that's to me, it's like I really love the special effects, the practical effects of the 80s, right? The Thing is like one of the coolest. I mean, just
Mm-hmm.
the different ways that the Thing like morphs is one of the coolest things. I digress, but like I don't really do true crime because it's real. And maybe, I don't know, maybe it's because of the sting of my childhood and unsolved mysteries, but it's like to me that's more terrifying to know that like
Yeah.
real murders happened. Like my brother got really into one of my brothers got really into like the Jeffrey Dahmer thing that came out. And
Mm.
I think partially because he lives back in Ohio, and I think Jeffrey Dahmer I think lived there for a little while, like not far from where my brother lives. I'm like, dude, that's like more messed up. And he's like, yeah, he like the body's fermented, and then they started to smell stuff, and that's how they figured out. Like, I don't need to know any of this, dude. I don't want any of this on my hard drive. Please stop talking.
No, I agree with you. I think I mean I love watching true crime more because it's like I can't help myself. I have to like know. But I agree. It's way more horrifying than any horror movie I've ever seen. It's just it's real. You can't beat real life horror, at the end of the day.
Yeah, yeah. Well, Jeremy, one of the things I wanted to ask you too, man. There's so many different TV credits that you have doing like audio mixing and sound mixing. So I guess just to give a little people a little bit more background on, again, your transition from the Midwest and going out to Cali, and um, one like what were the big dreams in Indiana? Was it always film, and was it in movies? And then two, what are some of the cool experiences over the years that you've gotten to have, or pinch yourself moments, just being a Midwest kid like myself, going out to Cali, man.
So yeah, I mean, growing up in Indiana, in the Midwest, like if you've grown up there, you kind of understand it. But I went to in high school, we started doing the weekly news program. But we had a bigger communication program, I guess, in our high school. So we would actually do a weekly news program, full on, 3 camera type shoot, different things, and actual segments and different things. And we were always into like doing the comedy segments. So it was always fun. Like we always wanted to do little skits and stuff. And that person became my roommate in college, and we both were communications majors at Indiana University. Went down there. I didn't really drink much in high school, so I kind of found that in college. And the communications became party instead of probably studying. Anyway, so from there, I decided I was going to switch schools, and I went down to Florida. I went down to Orlando, full school called Full Sail, down in Orlando. It was a bigger audio school at the time when I went. The film and video program was much more of a redheaded stepchild. But we did have all the fun toys, a lot of cool gear. Got me into it, and honestly, I know some people say good or bad things about Full Sail, but I really just tried to pick the teachers' brains. I wanted to. A lot of students go through there very quickly. So the teachers were kind of in a rote pattern, and I felt like I really kind of wanted to break them out of that and like, hey, let's tell me what it's really like on set. What really goes on. And yeah, so I was in Orlando, got my degree there. It was my script that got picked for our final project and stuff like that. So we got a Chapman crane, which was actually a big 14-foot one of those like you see in the old films where you actually ride on. You've got your director and your camera operator riding on it with the camera. So we got one of those, and we shot all on film. So that was cool. And then got out in the world. My first gig was actually I was just at the end of school, and I worked 48 hours straight, no pay, no I mean, we got fed, I guess, because it was a commercial. But with the arts department, I mean, I literally helped them. It was an infomercial. We'd built this big rotating stage thing. It was for a piece of exercise equipment. I remember it, and it was like, they just needed help. They had, we were kind of students, and at the end there, and they just wanted help, and they said, "Why can you guys come in and help them for a couple hours?" So we came in for a couple hours, and it was, maybe 5 or 6, and they're finally like, "Look, this is our fault. Like we're just gonna have to stay up all night and do this ourselves." And I was like, "No, I want to stay more." Like they're like, "Nah, go home." I'm like, "No, I'm down. Let's do this." And did that, and I fell in love with it, man. I said, "This is where I want to be." We're literally sleeping on set. We had we had walkie-talkies cranked up, like literally sitting on us, sleeping in the back of the rental truck. And they would be like, art department. So then we'd hear that and jump up and get out of the truck and go run it on set. And I loved it, man. That's seriously. And then, so started doing commercial work, television work. In Orlando, it was ebb and flow. I mean, the first thing I ever really started on was From Earth to the Moon there, and did another movie called Instinct with Cuba Gooding Jr. and Anthony Hopkins. From Earth to the Moon was Tom Hanks' like Apollo program series. But, that came and then that went away. And there was not much work. I think what happened in Orlando is they would decide like, hey, okay, yeah, we're going to be Hollywood East and we're going to raise rates after we're giving everybody stuff for free. So, anyway, we don't need to go into that whole politics of that, but, that was the start for me, man. And then, independent film wise, I started, we started doing, my, actually an Indiana friend of mine, a high school friend and college friend came down to Orlando and he started writing films, and he and I we'd co-direct it, produce it. He'd write, he'd talk to the actors more, and I was like more kind of the tech side, and I would, with the DP and kind of framing up the shots and getting the gear we need and different things and making sure everybody was, on the same page and having lunch and getting different things. So we did all that. I've got stories beyond that Steven does too. Everybody does. It's an artist or an independent filmmaker or band or anything else. But one of them that's the funniest is a dog actually ate a can of my film. So that's the thing. That's how long ago this was, though. We were shooting on actual film. So we shot on 16 millimeter film. And it was really expensive to send back to get it developed. So we were saving all of our rolls from the short film we were shooting to send them back to Photochem in LA they were actually giving us a very good rate to go get what they called at the time a supervised transfer. So what that was is most people that have like DaVinci Resolve these days to edit and this and that, there's a color wheel on there. That's their big thing. It's like red, green, blue, and you color your scenes with the color wheels. Well, that's what this was. You sat there as they went scene by scene from your film. You would start at the head of the scene and they would color the scene. Like you had a colorist sitting there and you would be like, well, no, let's add a little more red, or no, that would be cool. What's it look like blue, and it was a really cool process, So we were saving up our film to go do that. And, my girlfriend at the time is where we were keeping the film in her bedroom. Of course, it's a very safe place, like on a dresser or something in her bed, anyway, she had a little dog, a new puppy, and we were on set one of the nights. And her roommates got upset at the dog and basically locked him in the room. Well, we came home and the dog had broken into 2 cans of film and exposed them. So the other thing is at that time, you can digitally look at clips and stuff on stuff now and digital media and this and that. You can look at clips and figure out what it was. Well, back in that day, on those cans of films, you put in a camera report, which would tell you what scene you shot. So you knew, okay, well, this can of film has these scenes and this, this amount of shots on it. Well, we chewed those too. So I had no clue what these 2 reels were. So I go back and, we're all talking about it. And of course I had to tell everybody, hey, guess what happened? And so we did that. We reshot the scene we thought it was. And then we sent all of our stuff out. And then, 8 months later, we afforded the ticket from Orlando to LA, to come out and do this supervised transfer. Basically what had happened was we got out to process the film. We realized that the scene was the wrong one when we were doing the supervised transfer, coloring it. So this is 8 months later. So I'm basically trying to call the actors, things like that, to say, hey, we're going to come back. We're going to redo all this, this scene that we needed, which was the ending scene, which had every actor in it that we needed. And honestly too, this was, we went union on this film. So we, if anybody, I know it's a stigma always, to do that, but we decided, hey, we're going to try and do this for real. We're shooting on film. Let's make this real and get some real actors that are in the union. And, this was, we were doing a very low budget, agreement with them, which basically meant for the amount of time we used them, if we made money on the film, we would have to pay them back, which makes sense. That's great. But I had to bring all of those back, had to inform the union, had to do all this stuff, bring everybody back. One of the things is this is Orlando, so half the talent is still they work at Disney or they're face characters at Universal. So one of them had dyed their hair, and we would have to re-dye it back. Another one had to we had to get extensions in her hair. One of the lead actors, he had dyed his hair. He really, and if he's listening, we'll be in trouble, but he threw a fit about having to re-dye his hair. I said, we'll dye it and then we'll dye it right back. He was blonde in the film. He was dark haired now for his character part at Disney. And so we bleached his hair that night and then re-dyed it back to the color again. He was 3 hours late to set that day because he was in the urgent care because he was playing basketball behind the scenes at Disney with some of the employees and smashed his face. So we had to cover up. He was crying because we had to cover up his little butterfly stitch with makeup. So anyway, that's the fun of doing independent film. We got everything reshot. We did that and we put the scene together, and honestly, the film did really well. I mean, we were in probably about 15 festivals. We won Best Short Film of the Year in the state of Florida for that year. And the rest is kind of history. And we went on to, I mean, we did about 5 short films in a span of time there in Orlando. And me and my writing partner, and then realized we had to kind of grow up and get real jobs. So he became an engineer. He's from Indiana. He went to Purdue, so I'm sure you know where that is, Mike. But so he became an engineer, and I got into television and got suckered into reality television at that point. So, and then did about 20 some years of reality television, and I guess the rest is history. So I worked on a lot of different things, had a lot of fun, and that's until Steven came back and brought me out of retirement from independent film. He needed the grandpa character to teach him how to not leave film with a puppy in the room.
I was gonna say, so it wasn't all for naught, right? Because like you said, you've been successful making a living doing what you love to do, and I'm sure the experience on the director's cut was much more pleasant with Steven. So it turned out.
Absolutely. Steven is a great filmmaker. And that was kind of why, I was happy to, work with him, and the fact that he even approached me, because Steven, I feel like, wasn't one of the initial people that was a little more serious about it here, and really had some good thought patterns and good work habits. And Steven didn't go to school for this, so he's he's self-taught, man, and he's got a great eye and a great mind for it. So and I'm happy to have him on with the festival as well. I think he brings an element that I might not be a cinephile. I may, I watch the mainstream films and stuff. He's much more into the finding the really good independent films, and especially the horror films. Which is probably my least favorite genre, which is hilarious. But I like producing them. It's fine. I already know like what's going to happen. At least I've read the script, so.
Well, you said you like the big ones. Did you watch Thanksgiving, which actually started out as a fake movie preview, right? Correct me if I'm wrong, Steven.
No, you're right. Yeah.
In the Grindhouse pictures, if I'm not mistaken, it was so popular that they finally were able to make Thanksgiving. I actually really enjoyed Thanksgiving. I thought it was a very fun ride. I was highly entertained.
Likewise, I thought it was good.
But just to clarify, before I get lambasted here, I do enjoy horror films. It's more, I'm scared of horror films. I'll admit it. I'm sorry. That's why I say if I read the script, I'm fine. We're good. It's just when you don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
No, that's what makes the world go around, Jeremy. We all different strokes for different folks, man. When I was a kid, it's funny. I got into horror more as I got older. In fact, one quick story I'll share with you guys. Both of my brothers were super irritated with me. I think I was in 3rd grade, so I was like 8. And this was back when, after, I don't know if it's like it anymore, but on cable back in the day, after like a certain hour, I don't know if it was like 9, 10 p.m., they would just show you like pretty much the whole shebang. I mean, I don't think nudity, but like swearing and everything. So it was Halloween time, and one of the channels was doing like a Halloween movie marathon. It might have been, this is 96, so I don't know if that's like early sci-fi or early TLC, one of them.
Mm.
And one of the Jason movies was on, and I can't remember which one it was. So Steven, you might be able to pinpoint it down. But I remember this dude was like, I don't know if the character was a little slow, but I just remember there being like an exchange of like, hey, I'm gonna give you this candy bar or whatever. And then this dude, I don't even know if it was Jason. This dude like ripped his spine out, and I was like, I wasn't even scared. I was like, the empath in me was sad because I'm like, he just gave him a candy bar, and like I was upset. And then my mom was like, "What are you guys watching?" And so then she made us turn it off. And then of course my older brothers were, "Why did you have to get so? Thanks, Mike, you ruined it." So actually when I was little, I horror movies scared the bejesus out of me. And I think we talked about it too, even though it's not quote unquote a horror movie. Stir of Echoes still terrifies me. Which it was based
Great
on a
film.
I think it's I classified as a thriller, but boy, the end of that, I rewatched the. Sorry, I know I'm jumping around, and I know Steve, you've been on before, so I do this. So
No,
um,
you're good. You're good.
listeners are patient, but um, I re 4 years ago, I don't know why I was in a nostalgia mood during COVID, and I found I can't remember what YouTube channel it is, but they'll put up like official scenes from different movies, and I hadn't watched
Mhm.
the one of the ending scenes and the final act of Stir of Echoes where he's ready to give up, and he's got like the pickaxe or whatever, and he's in the basement.
Mhm.
He throws it, and the brick falls off the corner of the basement. And that really creepy, like it's giving me chills now. That really creepy music starts playing. He starts pulling away the bricks, and he discovers
Mhm.
his body. Spoiler alert, everybody! It's like a 25.
Yeah.
But
It's
way me saying when I was younger, I was at the original Pennywise, Beep Beep Georgie with Tim Curry, scared the
yeah.
bejesus out of my siblings. But as I got older, I got more into them, and like the Lost Boys. It's not even scary to me. I know it's classified as horror, but that's like I think
Yeah.
one of the first big budget vampire movies, and it's still great. I never get bored watching it. But yeah, I got more into them as I got older. So long way me saying, Jeremy, don't be ashamed if you're
Don't, yeah. Well, I'm okay. I'm okay. Like Lost Boys, I love all those. We're good. I'm good with psychological like thrillers and even horror, um, Exorcist, Rosemary's Baby.
yeah.
But yeah, I guess that's just me. But I grew up watching Faces of Death, so I mean, and eating Little Caesars pizza, so and downing 2 liters of soda. So but the one thing I was gonna say is getting on that horror train, like one of the cool things was for me being in Orlando is I got to meet all the Blair Witch guys. They're all from Orlando, and they were doing Blair Witch around the time that I was there. And I remember I worked with one of the editors, Dan Myrick. Well, he was one of the directors of it, but at the time he was an editor by trade in our office area. Anyway, I remember him getting his first night vision camera, and we went in like the little break room area and turned off the lights. And I mean, this is kind of, it's kind of a joke, but like this was the first time like you could kind of get consumer level night vision cameras. So he had the camera in there. We were messing around, of course, just like throwing stuff at each other and everything else. And I just remember him telling us, he was like, "Yeah, we're gonna go up to the woods and shoot this, this little witch project thing up in the East Coast." So and then, yeah, they came back and did that. But I think one of the things I always tell people, and I think they would tell you this too, is your biggest thing that you could learn from Blair Witch is have your next project. I mean, those guys were on fire after Sundance. I mean, they were the most sought after, team. And, really the whole thing is they didn't necessarily have another project. And I don't want to say that and speak for them, but it just wasn't, what do you do after you just made a found footage film that you just made all of this money of people thinking that it was real?
Yeah.
It's a lesson. I mean, it is kind of a lesson. Like everybody, if you never know if your film hits, be ready. Have a TV series, have a few things, because if you're the next best thing, then they want to see it. But the thing is, they're not just going to buy your one next film. They might say, well, we don't like that one, but what else you got? And you got to be ready. So, and I think filmmaking is a business too. That's what a lot of people forget. And yeah. So that was my go off the rails, Mike. So
Oh, this is what's great about podcasts, man. And yeah, I vividly remember when that came out because yeah, that's what, like 98, 99. I think I was
Yeah, yeah, 99. Yeah.
Yep, 99.
sixth grade. What a year for movies, by the way. 99. We could go on a whole
Yeah.
rabbit hole. That we'll have to do a part two of this just on movies in 99. That was a great year for film.
That was
But
a great year for sure. Yeah.
Well,
I,
do you guys remember the South Park thing? You remember do you guys remember how South Park started at all? Have you heard that story?
No, I'm
So
not really well.
they were shopping or they did the tape of and they were cutting out like the paper characters and stuff, and then it become so became
it
so
was their calling card. Like it was, so Trey Parker and Matt Stone were like editors or something, I think at the time. I can't remember what they were doing, but they used it as a Christmas card and did this whole little cardboard paper cutout thing and sent it to executives as a Christmas. It was the first one was basically Christmas and Jesus and all the thing, and Santa Claus. And they sent that out, but that was making the rounds of the festivals in 99 when I was there. So I saw that the first time, and that was kind of before they'd even really started. Like that's how they got South Park sold, basically. And those are crazy, man. 90. So speaking of 99, 99 is good, right?
Yeah. No, it's a great year.
yeah, I mean yeah, gosh, those guys are freaking amazing, man. I love South Park so much. I feel like that show just holds pop culture and just society accountable, and nobody and that's what I love about those guys. Like nobody is safe, and they remind you to laugh, man. And in these weird times we're in. Well, bringing it back and I guess bringing it home, because I don't want to chew your guys' ear off, man. And thanks again, Stephen and Jeremy, for taking the time to do this. It's been great chatting with you, and you're welcome back anytime. But
Thanks,
just
Mike.
on going down your path a little bit, Jeremy, about your work history, and knowing about Steve and his work history, and you guys have talked about how you've come together. At the time we're recording this, it's early May, and it's going to be hitting people's ears mid-June. But what have the submissions been like so far, and how fun has it been after year one of the Temecula Valley Film Festival to go through these, man? Because I'm sure there's probably more buzz now, I would imagine, especially after a successful first year. So what's it been like just having submissions being open since March 1st so far?
Mike, real quick, can
Um,
we jump back to last year maybe, and just kind of some of the films we had that were
Yeah,
so much successful?
yeah, yeah.
I don't know if you've talked to Stephen about them, but I don't know, Stephen, if you want to bring it up, but basically, so our first night, we actually where we showed Director's Cut, which is our film, just kind of showcased it. But right before that, we had a short film that was Alyssa Milano's short film. It was a horror film, No Overnight Parking, that we had that night. And then actually after our film, we showed another kind of a campy horror film, a mockbuster, if you will. But it was actually Stephen, help me out here. God, like,
that's Omega Ape.
yes, sorry. It's called Mega Ape. It was no, excuse me. Yeah, so it was actually called Mega Ape, and it was Tom Sizemore's last film before he passed away. So that was on our first night on Friday, and then Saturday was a bunch of shorts, but one of the more notable ones actually had Coleman Domingo and Kevin Bacon in it. During the day on that time, and that was a very good film. And luckily we had the filmmaker come down from LA to show up, and then funny enough, he entered because his makeup artist and I think it was one of his associate producers lived here in Temecula, and he thought, great, I'll enter this festival because they can come watch it with me. And yeah, and they were here. They ended up winning our award for the year. The Golden Poppy, as we call it. And yeah, so it was pretty
Audience
cool.
award too.
Yeah, it's the audience award basically. So, but yeah, that's kind of to pre set up what's happening this year. I mean, that was kind of the really success and some of the surprises we had from the first year. We really didn't expect to get, those bigger films like that, but to have those and be able to show them here is good. It was fun.
Yeah.
Steven,
So
if you, sorry.
no, go ahead. No, it's I was just gonna say, I mean, in the time frame that you had last year, Stephen, you mentioned like it was kind of nerve-wracking just being able to finally secure a venue for it. But I mean, how many? I guess ballpark. I mean, how many short films, just submissions in general, did you guys end up having to sift through? And how did what's that process like? Because I'm sure it's obviously collaborative between the two of you guys as far as going through those.
Yeah, we kind of all, we all watch, we all review, and then you can like we do it through Film Freeway, which is like the biggest place to submit your movies into festivals. Pretty much most film festivals have a Film Freeway, so that's like where they go and submit, and yeah, so we all have access to it. We all look at it, and then we all rate the movies individually and stuff like that. So then, this year, I mean, we're already ahead. More than half. We already have more than half than last year at this point, so we're definitely gonna have way more to look through, which is, great, but also, a little daunting because now we got to make sure, we get everything and we all make sure we watch everything and review the films properly and, pick the right ones. And we're gonna have some help. We're gonna have more judges help us this year, with reviewing the films because we are gonna get more films as the year progresses. So, but yeah, no, it was great. It was fun. I love watching the films because to me it's inspiring as a filmmaker, because then you're like, oh wow, that's you yes, there is going to be some where you're just kind of like, doesn't really land, but then there is some that you're like, wow, this is amazing, this is awesome, and then it inspires you, and I'm just like, great, I can't wait to show this to people in the community, and I think that's also a big part of the festival is to get people in this area like inspired to make their own movies in Temecula. That's a big thing. And last year in the festival, there were some people that actually came up to me and were like, "This is awesome. We've been waiting for this." Like younger people, I'm not saying I'm old, but I'm definitely younger than me, which is like you want the young people to like be inspired and try to make movies and stuff like that. And they're like, "We're coming for sure next year," and all this stuff. It's like people I didn't know. It was cool getting compliments about the festival about from people that you know I I'd never talked to. There were strangers, and they were part of the youth culture in the area, So yeah, no, it was awesome. It's awesome. That's like my favorite part is just watching the movies, and then everything else is the more hectic part, which is fun. But yeah, it's really fun watching the movies.
And I want to give Steven and Jeremy, they were Jeremy Allen Pops, not me, but we watched the films. Obviously, the first year we put our ratings on them, and we all kind of just it became a conglomerate of different voting. And because of my, I'm not necessarily a cinephile, so some of these things you may have gone over my head, but Steven really got them and rated the film a little higher. But so it all averaged out. But Steven and Jeremy were both programmers, and for me, a film when you're watching it really depends on your mood, and it's true. I could have had a longer day and I sat down and started watching a film, a short, and maybe wasn't in the mood. Now, don't get me wrong. I tried to go back and rewatch, but to basically where I'm getting is Steven and Jeremy did a great job programming. Cause I will say when I sat down and watched though, the hour-long shorts programs where, we had that basically is, 8 so shorts, when the way that they put them in order, it made sense. And it made me just like fall in love with the movies we did pick. It was kind of like some of them I'm like, oh, okay, how's that going to make it? And then, I'd watch the program and it was, okay, you're right. I get the comedy in this. Oh, I get this here, in this film. And, that you don't really understand how much goes into programming in these films. It's like making that playlist for that girlfriend at, the right
Yeah.
time. And it's like, I really got to give credit to Steven and Jeremy for, the way that they programmed these and put all that thought into it. So hey, thank you.
No, I mean it was a team effort. I mean, we all watched the movies, and then like you said, like one of us would rate something lower or higher, and then we would have to discuss it, and that was the fun part. We'd have to be like, why is this? What did you get out of it that I didn't get out of it? And it was a great dialogue between everybody, kind of like figuring out like, okay. And it was tough too because we had a lot of actually we had a there was great like really cool movies that we weren't able to put in the festival because of limited space, you know. So I think this year we're going to have a little bit more. I think we're having at least an extra block this year of short films. So I'm happy about that because that means extra short films are going to be in the festival. But yeah, it was tough, but it was also very cool talking to everybody and seeing why they prefer this film over this film and vice versa. You know, it was cool.
Yeah, there's an art to programming. Like you were saying, Jeremy, that's where my mind was going too, as a big music
Mm-hmm.
guy. It's like the art of the
Yeah,
track, putting an album together, taking people on a trip. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
just for like the layperson who might be listening to this, as far as festivals are concerned, or maybe they're more of a casual, movie watcher or TV show watcher. How do you guys break up the categories? I know we've talked a lot about short films, but in terms of awards and, you know, how did you shape that? Because again, I'm thinking of like maybe somebody who casually watches the Oscars, right? You've got your different categories and drama and all that stuff. Like, how did you guys set it up? And are there any changes this year compared to last year, other than like you said, maybe doing another block to allow for more?
Yeah, well, last year, it was interesting because, even though we had a good amount of submission, it was our first year. We're unknown. So we didn't get a super huge amount of submissions that probably a more regular established festival would get. So it was, we couldn't, what we would love to do is like kind of block it up and break it up into themes or something like that. That's cool. But we kind of, what we did, me and Jeremy, is kind of break it up into like kind of like tone, like try to be like, oh, let's start off high on this energy and then let's get more mellow. And so we were trying to, because we didn't have enough movies to break it up in the sense of like, oh, only horror movies on this block, you know what I mean? Or only comedies or only rom-coms or whatever. So we really kind of were focusing on the trip, of emotions that I think the audience that we feel like would be that we think would be cool ride for the audience. So that was kind of our the way we programmed it last year. And this year I think it'll be I think hopefully and I think we'll have enough submissions where maybe we can kind of program it more on theme or maybe a genre block or specific like that. But yeah, that's kind of how we did it, kind of on the tone of like, oh, let's have people up here, and then let's bring them back down to here. Maybe something more. A block would be more lighthearted than another block, stuff like that.
I think too, maybe what you're getting at too, Mike, is one thing we found in Temecula is people may not know about what a film festival is.
Mm-hmm.
They think, well, okay, are you showing like a couple films a bunch of different times, or is it different? Like, what is it? So, we kind of had to explain. It's like, okay, well, we're going to show a couple feature films, which would be like you're going to the theater and watching, a regular film. But we're having short film programs, which means there's going to be, 7 or 8 different shorter films. They could be anywhere, 30 minutes and under. But you're going to watch 7 or 8 different films and you'll get a variety. And I think, that's one thing that people don't understand about a film festival is, and you're not just showing, if you show 3 or 4 different shorts programs, as you call them, each one of them has different films in it. So you could stay all day and watch 20 some different films by watching every short film, kind of what we made as a showcase. But you don't want to sit there all day. So that's why we had to put breaks in.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. We have the red carpet and everything like that, and the theater Temeku's great. They have, they serve alcohol there, and they got a cafe, and they sell food, so it works out.
Absolutely. And I appreciate the breakdown too, because again, like I think the average person, like you see Jeremy going, okay, like what do I get if I go to a film festival? What's that experience going to be like? Um, and again, I think you guys do a great job of social media of kind of, not only just breaking down the dates of submissions for people who are interested, but also, again, like I mentioned earlier, going back to, Red Right Hand, like the things that are going on, like just in the local Temecula community that you guys are a part of and showcasing. So I think it's really cool. Well, before we officially wrap up, um, again, I want to say thank you to both of you guys, man, for taking the time to do this. I hope I didn't rant too much or derail things crazily when I started talking about my unsolved mysteries experience, which still haunts me to this day. Um, but I want to give people the dates again. So submissions have been open since March 1st. The regular submissions end June 28th, and late submissions go until August 2nd. And you are slated for, I didn't see official dates, but right now it's still going to be October 2024, right?
Yeah,
Correct.
October. It's October 11th and 12th.
Yeah. We have
unless
we're gonna release that soon,
something
but it's
crazy
basically
happens.
unless
Probably
something
by the
crazy
time this
happens.
airs.
Yeah, we should have the official dates, but most likely October 11th and 12th
At Temeku Cinemas
at
in
Temeku
Temecula.
Cinemas in Temecula, California. Yep.
Be there or be square.
And I'll put the links in the podcast description, obviously, for anybody who's not aware. But as they're listening, if they want to pull out their phones real quick, where can they find you on Instagram, the internet? Let them know. And again, it'll all be in the podcast description for everybody. But shout it out, man.
All right. Well, we're
Yeah.
at.
Go ahead.
Go ahead,
Go
Stephen.
ahead,
No,
Rick,
I want you to
No,
talk.
You take it.
I talk
No,
too
I'm
much,
done.
man.
No.
Don't make me start on some other story.
No. Okay. Temecula Valley Film Festival on Instagram. And then we also have our website. Is it just Temecula Valley Film
It's
Festival.com?
Temecula Valley FF.com.
FF.com. Yeah. Temecula Valley FF.com for the website, and Temecula Valley Film Festival for our Instagram.
And don't forget Film Freeway. Film Freeway. Put your films in, man.
Yeah, Film Freeway to submit. The link to our Film Freeway is in our bio, on our Instagram bio, or you can go to the website and there's a link to the Film Freeway as on there too. We also have a Facebook page as well, right?
Yep.
Just Temecula Valley Film Festival. Yeah, so yeah,
for
those
the
are
old
three
guys like me.
Yeah, those are the three options for social media to find us, and reach out. We'll respond in a timely manner.
Stephen, Jeremy, this is awesome. I genuinely appreciate the time, and that's why I love doing this podcast, man. And I think what you guys are doing really fits in the theme of the show, March 4th, to persevere and move forward. It's nothing I feel like in life, the older I get, I'm not gonna wax poetic because I'm only 36, but in the experiences that I've had, your comfort zone, at least I've found, kind of becomes your limit zone. And it's only really when you challenge yourself or you do things that are a little scary to you, call back, cheesy. But that when you really kind of figure out who you are, when you go after the things that you enjoy. And like for me, it's this podcast. This was, communicating with people and having gone to school for communication and doing broadcasting and journalism and stuff, I kind of got away from it, and even though I really am grateful for, the work experience that I have and what I've been able to do in Nashville, and I've got a great day job and I have a great team that I work with, like being able to do these conversations and get a chance to share the stories of people who are making positive ripple effects in their communities, whether it's with their music and their art, and in your case, uh, relaunching and rebranding, something that was dormant for a little bit with the Temecula Valley Film Festival and getting a chance to shine a light on other creators, I think is really dope, man. So it's a long way of me saying I really think it's cool what you guys are doing. And the fact that this is only number 2, who knows where it's gonna go? You know what I mean? So I guess I'll
Where's your film, Mike? Where's your film? You got till August 2nd, buddy.
Well, is there a podcast category?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just it's a long way of me saying I think it's really I think it's really cool what you guys are doing. I think it's cool that you've especially post COVID, going back to the beginning part of this conversation, that you're bringing people together, you're seeing the interest, you're seeing other creators, um, even getting people like Alyssa Milano, like I mean, it just goes to show like what you can do when you just pursue what you love, and that's really what this show is all about. Life is short. We get one of them, right, to our knowledge. So going after the things that you love, and also helping lift up somebody else is really cool. So I think you guys are doing all that, man.
Appreciate it, Mike.
Thank you, Mike. Hey, thanks for having us too, man.
Yeah, it was a pleasure as always. So yeah, man, can't wait to be. I want to get back on here and talk movies with you again. It'll be great.
Yeah, you got a great podcast too, man. It's awesome that you can put us on this platform.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Well, gentlemen, have a great rest of your night, and definitely keep in touch, man. This has been fun. Thank you.
Awesome.
All right, man. Take it easy.
Thanks.
All right.
We'll see you in October, right?
That would be sick. That would be sick. I'm gonna put the dates in my phone.
All right.
Yeah, right on.
Cool.
All right,
Later.
Talk to you later, Mike. Thanks.
Alrighty, dighty, there you have it. That was my conversation with Stephen Aripez and Jeremy Habig from the Temecula Valley Film Festival. Make sure you go follow these guys on Instagram. The official Instagram for the festival is Temecula Valley Film Festival. And you can also follow Stephen at Aripez Films, and that is spelled Aripez at Aripez Films. And you can follow Jeremy on Instagram as well at JD Habig, and that is spelled Habig. The links to all of their stuff will be in the podcast description for this episode. So if you enjoyed what you heard, please go follow their socials and support what they're doing. And like I said at the jump, The Director's Cut, which is a great independent horror with great dialogue. Steven's film, which Jeremy was also a part of, as you guys heard in that conversation. You can watch it for free right now on Tubi. I highly recommend it. If you're a fan of horror, again, if you're a fan of great dialogue, great storytelling, these guys did a great job with this movie. It was really cool. The nostalgia of the video store kind of era, but also just again, just a great independent horror, man. I'm a big horror movie guy, and it's wild how time flies. I still can't believe it's been, like I said, about 2 years ago, because I'm pretty sure it was the summer that I also talked to Steven the first time back in 2022 via Dylan. And then I got him and Dylan back on, and we did kind of a horror movie appreciation episode. I believe that was late 2022. So it's been cool to stay in touch with Steven. Again, he's a great guy, and he's got a bright future ahead of him, man. Please keep chasing your dreams, Steven. And Jeremy Habig, as you guys heard, man, just a really long career in television and in film, and I think it's really awesome that he has pulled together this community in Temecula, and that they're getting great independent filmmakers and creators to show out for this, man. So it's really awesome. Once again, the last one was October of last year, as you guys heard, and it'll be October 2024 this year. So if you're interested in more information, whether you want to submit a film, whether you want to go, once again, head over to at Temecula Valley Film Festival on Instagram for more information. Again, I really appreciate these guys. I think for submissions, what I have written down, they've been open since March. Regular submissions end on June 28th, so the end of this month. And then you can submit as late as August 2nd. So get on the ball and, throw your work in there, man, because these guys are great guys. So I hope you enjoyed that conversation. I had a longer intro, so I'm going to keep the close here short. But again, man, I'm in a really gracious mood. I'm learning as I get older to kind of manage my thoughts better as somebody who struggles with anxiety, and to really appreciate the little things. So often, I think maybe you guys can relate to this, but I focus a lot on like the end. I don't think about or enjoy as much of the journey, and I'm realizing that that's what life is just millions and millions of small moments and memories that we get to share with other people. And sometimes those people are around for a long time. Sometimes they're around forever, until death do you part. And sometimes they're around temporarily. But the older that I get, watching people in my life get married and have kids, and watching my niece and nephew grow older, seeing my parents get older, um, friends that I go back home and see. I'm going to be home in about a month for one of my best friend's weddings, which I got to get my monologue ready to tie it back to movies, because I'm going to be giving a best man speech. I think I'm going to lean on the Wedding Singer best man speech from Steve Buscemi. I think that went over really well in the context of that wedding and his character in it. So great. The best man, the better man, self-taught, no lessons. Thank you very much. Um, but even when I go home, I'm going to take a sip of water real quick, leaving this in. A little ASMR for you fans of that out there. But yeah, I gotta work on that. I feel like I gotta do like a tight 3-4 minutes. You know what I'm saying? Throw some jokes at them, get a couple of laughs, end it with something sentimental. I got it vibed out. I just got to sketch it out. I digress. But even going home, it's just like, wow, people are getting older, and this age in your 30s, it's like it's just an interesting time. Being 36. Compared to like when you're younger and you see people all the time because you're in school and things like that, and it just gets different as you get older, and not necessarily in a negative way. There's good and bad to it, right? But yeah, so I'm a little reflective, and I can tend to be that way on Sundays, and that's usually when I'm kind of putting all these things together with the podcast. But I say all that to say I'm really grateful for all the love, the loss, the lows, the highs, especially over these last few years. It's been a bit of a roller coaster at times, but I'm so grateful, man, for the support system that I have, for my family, my close friends, my ride or dies, and everybody who listens to the show, and all the guests like Stephen and Jeremy who come on, man, and also listen. Like, it's just I'm just really grateful. And so I would challenge you, if you struggle with anxiety like me, whether it's obsessive compulsive tendencies or panic attacks, or if you struggle with depression or abandonment issues or all these things, or imposter syndrome, just look in the mirror and give yourself a high five, man, because the fact that you're here and breathing means that there is a purpose for you, even if you haven't discovered it yet. And I ask that you just find the good and be the good. There is always a silver lining, no matter how dark things may seem. And it'll get better. I promise you. As somebody who's been through some stuff these last couple of years, and again, I don't say that as a victim, and it's not my story as far as that, but as somebody who's been through stuff like we all are, like, lean on the people who are close to you, and don't quit. Don't quit on yourself. Don't quit on your dreams. There are brighter days ahead. So I'm going to leave y'all with that. Thanks again to Stephen and Jeremy, you guys. I had a great time talking with you. I'm so excited for you. And it's really, really cool what you guys are doing. So once again, everybody, go check them out at Temecula Valley Film Festival on Instagram. And once again, at Aripez Films, at JD Habig on Instagram as well. All the links are in the podcast description. And once again, you can follow me on Instagram at March 4th Pod. You can also follow me on YouTube and TikTok at March 4th Pod. And go check out the director's cut on Tubi. So that's going to be a wrap for this week's episode. Keep the faith and be kind to one another, and be kind to yourself. I will see you on the next one. Peace.